Right, onward and downward. I'd say something about us going downward so much we may just end up in hell eventually, but I suppose that's actually part of the point. To make it feel like the deeper down we go, the more danger we're in, due to both the environment and the monsters around us. Though if we're just gonna keep jumping into space like that, we don't actually need to go to hell for me to feel like we're in more danger. Wonder how much longer until we get an upgrade that lets us run through lava without taking any damage. But then, once we gain immunity to lava, how else are we supposed to be blocked from going further and further downward? Because even though we've been taking some hits, we really didn't need to. It's not like the recurring enemies have been especially intimidating so far. Or at least, not intimidating like the black pirates we had to deal with at the end of the previous game. Though considering how powerful we seem to be here and now, I'm not too sure those guys would have been as much of a threat in this game as they were in that one. Well, our first signs of humanity, or at least humanoid bodies that are affiliated with the Federation. To nobody's great surprise, the earlier expeditions had no survivors. Though I am surprised I managed to get this far in as they set up their base before they were slaughtered. Mostly because it took us so damn long to get down here ourselves. Ah, shit. Two of those things at once? Sure, it's a lower form of Metroid, but it's still two at once when every encounter before now has just been lone bastards. Are they starting to get the feeling that they need to stick with strength in numbers? Or is it just that the people and equipment in this base were so tasty that a pair of Metroids decided to stick around just in case something else tasty came into this chamber? Right. Took less time than usual for there to be another earthquake. Granted, we already know those earthquakes are being caused by something scary further down. They're not in any way natural, but still. Okay, so we need a super bomb to be able to move further up. I'm vaguely remembering there was another set of super bomb blocks in the previous area. Probably the closest thing to forcing us to do some backtracking we're gonna see in this game. Again, I probably could have saved time if I didn't go out of my way to slaughter every enemy we come across. Okay, apparently the quake didn't move that bit of lava. There's still another bit of lava we can check though, and thankfully that's nearby. Yeah, no choice but to go back towards the save point we only just got off of. May as well save again, even if that isn't the path forward from there. Well, at least I'm not getting hurt by the spikes on the way down. I suppose that's something. Anyway, we've confirmed that the lava went down in this area here. Not an especially smooth transition from one recording session to the next here, but it could have been worse. As far as I can tell at this stage, there doesn't seem to be any audio problems with this clip. Though if there are, somebody please tell me. glass breaking, and the first thing that comes to my mind is a crowd roaring. God damn, I miss the Attitude Era of pro wrestling here in the States. I know, completely unrelated to what we're doing at the moment. Still, felt worth saying at the time. I get that the Chozo would want to gather raw materials for the various things they want to build somewhere, but that doesn't really explain why they came to this specific planet to do so. Especially since it's heavily implied that the Chozo decided to make the Metroids this damn dangerous for some reason before they were wiped out / transcended to a higher plane of existence. They might have had a higher plan at the time when they did it, but it's just as likely things didn't go according to plan for them, since they also made Mother Brain. And Mother Brain just went, screw those benevolent creators, I'm just going to do my own thing. Huh. Somehow wasn't expecting the newly introduced chargers would be able to be ripped through when we do the speed boost. Not that we're always going to have the option against the bastards, but still, bit ironic to be able to charge right through enemies that were meant to try charging through us. Okay, certainly a unique way to make progress, and I can somehow believe that the digger wasn't meant to cut right through that kind of crystal. Though that does leave me wondering how we're supposed to make progress from here. The drill is kind of blocking the main path, and it's not like we can just back it up. And why is it that the design of that drill makes me specifically remember the fighting in Gears of War 2? I know, probably doesn't matter in the long run, but still. Oh, don't tell me it's going to be stopped by some more green crystals. Okay, so this time it stopped on something off-screen and we can just start climbing from here. Can I say it's a bit annoying that some of the terrain here that looks the same as the stuff we can stand on is actually in the foreground? I know, not really a big issue when I don't actually have to check to see how we're supposed to break through a non-existent barrier. Still mildly annoying, though. Wait, just 2 registered in this area? After just killing 2 at once, I was kind of expecting something more. And just what the hell are those floating bubbles supposed to be anyway? Right. That's what I get for assuming that the lava was somehow fake like it occasionally was in the previous game. So both paths have a lot of those odd floating bubbles and lava. Doesn't really make either path feel especially tempting to go through, so we may as well go through the first one that we saw. Bit of a strange environment here, but not the strangest we've ever seen one of these things hang out on in this planet. Right, one down, and I'm assuming the other is going to be in a similar form and hanging out in a similar room. Is it wrong of me to hope that the game somehow proves me wrong? Sure, we're making steady progress and slowly but surely wiping out all the Metroids down here. Still, I can't help feeling like we're due for some form of challenge sometime soon. Is that just me getting restless or outright, cockiness? It's hard for me to tell from here. Okay, so the bubbles are just there for the sake of screwing up our repeated jumps in the air, and we can't just jump like that under lava. Interesting lesson there, but somehow I was expecting that to be a bit more painful. Probably because I'm still looking at lava as if it's just as dangerous as it was in Zero Mission. Okay, so I was wrong about what form of Metroid this room would throw at us. I wasn't so wrong about the fact that we killed it about as fast as the other one in the other room. Now to just start running to wherever the next big area is supposed to be. Assuming, of course, that it is going to be a large area and not another small one where we only run into 2 Metroids. I know they're just trying to find ways to change things up, keep it interesting without outright shifting what the main objective of the game is, but still, at the very least, I think we're due for facing the next form of Metroid soon. Another save, another search for wherever the next bit of lava dropped after the previous earthquake. Wonder how they plan to prevent that from starting to get annoying once we get to the 3DS remake of Metroid 2. And if the much better combat and graphics is gonna make the experience of Metroid 2 interesting enough that I'm not gonna regret essentially going through the same section of the overall story of the Metroid series twice, back to back. Going to be pretty hard to say before we actually get to that game, though. Sorry, boys, but we've already plowed through a lot of your friends. You're gonna have to find a way to head us off, because I'm not in the mood to stop for long in this familiar territory. Yeah. Need to go up a little more than go down, assuming there isn't a lava pit I don't know about that we need to go to instead. I really need to figure out how to control our jumps better. I know those spikes didn't cause all that much damage, but still, bit embarrassing to impale myself on the same thing multiple times in the same clip. Right. We're on the right track, not that it's much of an accomplishment when there are so few tracks to check. As I said before, Metroid 2 seems to be doing a good job of railroading us compared to Zero Mission. And we probably aren't due for the 2D games to open up again for us until we get to Super Metroid. Part of me wants to wonder why Metroid didn't seem all that bothered to keep up any kind of numbering system to the names of the entries. The other can't help noticing that, aside from Fire Emblem and the Metroid Prime sub-series, Nintendo didn't seem to give a damn about numbered entries at all. And even then, it feels like they kinda threw numbers out the window after a point. Possibly because the company felt that keeping a numbering system would make it a little more intimidating for newer players to just walk in and start playing at whatever entry happens to be the most recent when they were first introduced to the series. Not really sure how much of a factor that really is for new players of any franchise, since that's generally not what I pay attention to when I walk into a series. My first Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy VII after all, and that's a much more story-driven series than Metroid. And my first Resident Evil was Resident Evil 2, not the actual original. What matters is that the player gets hooked into the world in the entry they first find, which then makes them curious enough to check other entries in the series whenever they can. Of course, that does come with the caveat that enjoying one entry in a series doesn't always mean you can go back to the past to enjoy the earlier stuff. For example, with Legend of Zelda, I enjoyed Twilight Princess. That was my first entry. Then, because I'd heard so many great things about it, I tried Majora's Mask. And I was so ungrabbed by that classic in the series that I just stopped touching Legend of Zelda games for a long time. I should probably try other 3D entries in the series at some point, since I still consider Twilight Princess to be a damn fun one. But that's something for the future. We're still fighting our way through the Metroid series, and for some reason, part of that involves me getting assaulted by flying bird heads. I'm sorry, but decapitated heads suddenly suiciding against me while I'm near a lava pit somehow makes me think Samus got thrown into Doom. And I'm pretty sure that wasn't the kind of vibe anyone who was making this was going for. Even the doors look significantly different compared to what we've been dealing with before now. Anyone want to bet that device is going to be something useful to us? Great, iffy lighting again. At least it's not as dark as it could be, but it's still making me a little nervous. What, really? I was kind of expecting the building to have more rooms in it. Okay, those spikes clearly look like bones. We are definitely descending into hell at this point, aren't we? Definitely an effective way to make me feel intimidated. To turn a bunch of corpses into an environmental hazard before you reach the next foe. Anyway, time to face the next form of Metroid. Somehow feels more intimidating to look at, even though it's the first form that's incapable of flight. Probably because it looks like an alien T-Rex. Okay, so the bones don't do any damage to the big guy. And he's got a ranged attack. They're certainly starting to step things up. Good God, I'm just pissing away energy tanks at this point. Guess this is what I get for getting both cocky and complacent. Yeah, there's no way this fight is gonna end well. Hell, the big guy tried to throw me out of the room as a form of mercy. And I, of course, stubbornly jump right back in. Does it count as dying with honor if the other guy was trying to throw you out of there?